is up, everybody? Welcome to Howsit, episode 1.
Episode 1.
Richie Henson. This is my co-host, Chloe Miller.
Hey, guys.
Dude, I'm so excited for this moment right now. It's like this has been a long time in the making.
A long time.
And we're finally here.
We're here.
We're finally doing it.
We're here in the youth center where we meet every single week. And it just feels right, you know?
It just does. All is right in the world. Like, yes, summer's over, but like this is the start of the best part of the year.
Yes.
Kickoff is tomorrow night.
Whoa.
And I couldn't be more excited.
I am so pumped.
I couldn't be more pumped to see everybody. So here's the deal with this podcast. It's going to come out every couple of weeks, and we just want to take an opportunity to let you guys get to know us a little bit better, to talk about what's going on in youth ministry as a whole for Wildfire and Radiate, and also to just talk about some spiritual things, like what is God doing in our lives, and to have on some special guests to talk about that too.
Ooh, special guest.
I know, special guest. Who's it going to be? Oh, no. Hey, if you have somebody that you want to be the special guest, we're looking for like adults, not kids. Sorry, guys, that's a hard and fast rule. No kids on the podcast.
Sorry, we're losers.
We have to do that or else it would be chaos. If you have an adult that you know at the church that you're like, I want to see this person on the podcast, just leave a comment. Let us know. DM us, text us, whatever.
Yeah, but you can't all vote for Cam. Like, we love Cam,
True.
but you can't all vote for Cam.
That's a fact.
Okay.
Please, somebody vote for somebody else.
Please,
okay?
We want Cam, but you have to vote for others as well.
It's true.
You can't only have Cam.
It's true.
Though
That's
it would be
fact.
hilarious.
It would be hilarious.
Shout out,
and
Cam.
probably he will be on at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That being said, we'd like to start our time today with a rapid fire Q&A. So Chloe, I have a question for you.
Oh, I'm so excited. What is it?
If you could be in one TV show, like be a character on a TV show, what TV show would it be? And like kind of what role would you play on that show?
Oh, that's such a hard question.
BTW, this is not a rehearsed question and answer
No,
time.
I have had no idea.
Chloe had no idea I was going to ask her that question.
So I love the show. I love the show Friends. Great
okay.
show.
It's a
Haters
classic.
gonna hate. Haters gonna hate. It's a classic, and I love it because when I went to college at Michigan State, I would fall asleep to it every night. It's just a nostalgic thing, you know? It's chill and it's calm. I don't really know what character I'd play, but I think I'd like to just be a fly on the wall.
Sure, yeah, like just hanging out, just one of the
out.
friends.
Yeah, just being one of the friends. I just want to be in the crew, you know?
I love that.
So that's
amazing.
That would I be. I have a question for you now.
Okay, I'm ready.
What is the most annoying thing someone could do in your presence?
Oh my gosh. So many things.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'd like to hear your main one.
There's a whole nation of goobers that is good at doing many of these things.
Oh.
But I would say one that currently is just driving me insane is people calling me Pastor Richie. I absolutely hate it when people call me Pastor Richie because
really?
like
I didn't know
like
that.
I don't go to people and be like, "Oh, hello, like music teacher John." Like nobody does that to anybody else, but apparently people think that that's something you should do to a pastor, is like call them by their job title.
Well, and maybe some people like that. You just
maybe some pastors like it, but for me personally, not a fan. Like,
okay, well,
just
public
makes you feel
service
weird.
Announcement.
Yeah.
Don't call Pastor Richie Pastor Richie.
Zahira, I'm looking at you.
Oh,
I know that you know I don't like it, and you do it, and you giggle every time. Called it out, Zahira. Love you, girl.
I love it.
Also, as part of this, every week we're hoping to have a really great story to tell you. And I'm pretty sure Chloe has one of the best stories I've heard in a while to share today. So,
all right, here we go. So I'm leaving the names and the objects out of this story to protect those that I love.
Yeah, you can't be putting this one on blast. Like the people can't be known in this situation.
They can't be known. I'm embarrassed. So if you don't know, I'm getting married in a few weeks. And as part of being married, you have bridal showers. All these women gather and they give you presents, all the things. So I had just finished a bridal shower that my sweet future mother-in-law threw for me. It was so nice. And afterwards, my mom and I were unpacking all of the boxes of the gifts that we got, right? Yeah. So there's mounds of boxes. There's a lot of things. So that was that. And I left the boxes there because I didn't feel like taking care of them and bringing them all the way to the dumpster. It's a lot of work. So I left them for my fiance, Nehemiah. And he calls me later that night and he's like been having a productive day. And he's like, yeah, I took care of all the boxes and great, clean the apartment. He's like really proud of himself. And hey, I'm proud of him too, right? I'm proud of him too. So I get home at night. We had been together the whole day. I get home and I'm like, man, Mom, I cannot find this thing that I received as a gift from someone. I can't find it anywhere. And it's an expensive gift, and it's a nice gift.
It's a big deal gift.
It's a big deal gift. And I can't find it anywhere. I'm like, Mom, did I like leave it in your car or something? Like, I don't know where it is. And she goes, no, remember, we left it in its box at the apartment. And instantly my stomach drops from my stomach to my toes. I know immediately that Nehemiah has thrown away the boxes as part of cleaning the apartment. And I'm like, oh no. So I call him, and he's so nice. I explain what's happened, and he's like, oh yeah, like no problem. I'll go look for it.
Right.
Like no problem.
Yeah.
And little did I knew it was dark. It was late at night. He had to work at 3 a.m, and he was up searching in the garbage in the rain for this object. But he's so nice about it, like so kind.
Yeah, of course.
And so he calls me like 15 minutes later, and he's like, I didn't find it. I'm really sorry, but that was not it. It was really, no, I didn't find it. I'm like, okay, well, I looked up how much this gift cost to replace. Not the kind of money I want to be spending. So it was multiple hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, like he's like, okay, well, do you want me to go back? I'm like, yeah, I want you to go back.
Got to.
He's like, well, I have to go back and get my gloves first. And instantly I can feel his mood starting to turn, you know?
Yeah.
And so I didn't hear from him for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh no, like he's either still looking. I don't know what's going on. He calls me, and his mood's changed. You know, it started as the kind, sweet tone that he almost always has.
Yeah.
And it's changed to this, like, he's upset. Like, it's clear from his hello that he's not happy about the situation. He's like, I found it. And I was like, great, yay. And he's like, no, not great. I'm like, what? Was it bad? Was it bad? He's like, yeah, Chloe, it's pouring down rain. There was nasty freaking cat litter in the dumpster. He had to climb inside of the dumpster to find this object. And then somebody had like demolished a giant cabinet. So there was pieces of plywood on top of the garbage. So he had to move the garbage, swim in the cat litter, and then find the box amongst the other boxes.
That's disgusting.
So God bless my fiance.
Absolutely, girls.
I still feel so bad.
Find yourself a man who will dumpster dive for you in the middle of the night in the rain through the cat litter. That's real love. You know? That's real love. Shout out to Nehemiah. That's a clutch move. That's big time.
All right, Richie, what kind of story you got for us today?
So my story is not as epic.
Okay.
But like personally, it feels pretty epic. So
as it should.
I didn't grow up fixing things. Like I don't know how to use tools very well. There's some stuff I know how to do, but it's not much. Mm-hmm. And so the last house we owned, I learned a lot of things about how to fix a house, because the last house we owned was like literally falling down. Yeah. And so we did so much work to it, and I learned a bunch of stuff. And so now we have a house that is like in really good shape, which we're thankful for, but it's like super outdated. Like it looks like the early 90s. Like
his house has blue toilets.
It has one. There's one left.
I think it's awesome.
There's one blue toilet left.
I think they should keep it.
I don't, like, because it's so toilet? Old. It's such an old toilet.
Cool.
And think about how many times somebody else used that toilet before me, and I don't even know them. Okay, like that's a little weird. It's like a public toilet.
White toilets.
Yeah, but it's like a public toilet in my own house.
Comment below if you think blue toilets are cool.
I have replaced the other toilets. There's one blue toilet left. The other ones are all new. So I feel good about that. Anyway, so our house is a little bit outdated. It looks like it's from the late 80s, early 90s. Like we have some colored carpet and things that are going on. One of the things is we have these light fixtures that look like UFOs. Like they're these weird glass light things that are like oval shaped and stuff. They're hideous. And the one in the dining room quit working. The lights would not turn on anymore, or they would flicker. And so we started dragging a lamp from the living room to the dining room in order to like see while we were eating dinner. It was like so frustrating. So finally Becky's like, I think I found the chandelier that I want to hang above like forever. Right. And so it's like, great, let's get it. I think I could figure out how to do it. Like I've done a couple other light fixtures before, none like this, but I'll figure it out. So this thing shows up. And it was the biggest pain in the world. Like it was the biggest pain in the world to get it up. And like I was struggling to try and do it by myself. It's kind of heavy. And so I like call an Emmett. I'm like, Emmett, that's my 10-year-old if you don't know. I'm like, dude, I need your help. Come help me. And so he's like on a little ladder and I'm on a big ladder.
What did I just get myself
exactly. He's like,
into?
dude, I'm on summer break. I'm not working right now.
Yeah.
So I call him in. He's on a little ladder. I'm on a big ladder. He's like trying to hold this heavy light fixture above his head. His arms are getting tired. He's like shaking a little bit. He's like, Dad, it's so heavy. And I'm like, just hold it. And it's like a whole thing. And I'm like trying to get it all perfect, right? Because you don't want to like mess it up and have it look wonky. And so then Maddie is at our house. And so Maddie jumps in and starts helping. And so Emmett and Maddie are like holding it up and I'm getting it screwed in and like all this stuff. And then finally that happens. And it's like, yo, it's in the ceiling. It's not falling down. This is amazing. But now there's this hoop that has to go around the bottom of it. And the screws for the hoop are like so tiny, like microscopic tiny screws. And I don't have little fingers. Like I have fat fingers. And so like Maddie and Emmett are trying to screw it in. I'm trying to screw it in. The whole time you have to hold the hoop up in the air because you're not supposed to install it with the hoop in and like all this stuff. And finally like we get it installed and it works and it's amazing. And it's just like, wow, what a moment of great accomplishment in my life that I hung a single chandelier in my house. So, you know, that was
growth,
it was a big win.
Big deal.
Because now I don't have to move the lamp from the living room to the kitchen to the dining room anymore.
That's
a
good point.
Just eat with the light on. It's amazing.
You can eat not in the dark. You actually can know what you're eating.
Dude, it's spectacular. And like Becky makes great food. So it's like you want to see what she made.
Yeah.
Because it's good.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, that's kind of what's going on with us this week. Now we're going to kind of talk about Howsit with youth ministry because tomorrow is kickoff.
Tomorrow is fall kickoff, guys. Let me tell you. Tomorrow, September 14th, Wednesday, 6:30 to 8, we have fall kickoff. And that means summer's over, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. But that also means it's time to get back in the swing of things, which is good too.
It is. Plus, we miss you. It's been weeks.
We miss you.
It's been weeks.
Get back here and let us hang out with you. So fall kickoff, it's going to be awesome. We have merch.
Yo, I'm so excited for the new merch because number one, the t-shirts are a little bit nicer.
Yeah, they're a lot nicer.
Okay, they're a lot nicer. This is a t-shirt that you could like keep for a long time and feel really good about it. It's a little bit more minimal in the design, but
it's not like
it's just like classy. You know what I mean? Black shirts, guys.
Black shirts. But there's a Wildfire t-shirt and there's a Radiate t-shirt.
One of each.
Yes.
They're pocket tees. It's legit. One of my favorites. And here's the thing. Because they are nicer quality, because we put a little bit more time, money, and effort into these, we are going to charge $5 a t-shirt. $5 for a t-shirt is nothing.
No holla.
This is a Kirkland t-shirt, the cheapest but nicest t-shirt I've ever owned, $7.
Wow.
So $5, I feel like that's good.
That's good.
We're good. But here's the thing. There's going to be an opportunity for you to get one of these t-shirts for free.
What?
At kickoff, we're going to give away 5 t-shirts.
So in order to get a free t-shirt, here's what you have to do. The first 5 people to come tell Richie or I November 18th, which we'll tell you what that means in a minute. First 5 people to come to Richie or I and say November 18th gets a free t-shirt.
Free t-shirt. No questions asked.
No questions asked.
First 5 people.
After that, $5.
Come find us at check-in. Mm-hmm. Check yourself in. Tell us November 18th you're getting a free t-shirt if you're the first 5.
So you may be wondering, what is November 18th?
Great question. November 18th is Fall Getaway.
Fall Getaway? You guys, we're doing Fall Getaway this year.
Oh, man.
I am so excited.
I wish it was, like, I don't want summer to be over or whatever, but, like, I wish it was November 18th because I'm so excited to go to Fall Getaway.
I know. We have never done anything like this before.
We have not.
And let me set the vibes. Can I set the vibes really fast?
Absolutely. Would love that.
So, listen, you're in a flannel, okay? Everybody close your eyes. You're in a flannel.
Yeah. Okay.
You have a pumpkin spice latte in your hand. You have a Carhartt beanie on.
Yes.
And you're strolling the crisp air. The crisp fall air. The trees are turning colors. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful. But you have friends all around you, right? And then you open your eyes back up and you get to play paintball. And then you're doing Turkey Bowl football tournament. And then you're doing murder mystery at night. So it's going to be iconic and legendary, and you don't want to miss it. So
That's true facts.
November 18th, mark your calendars. You can actually register at kickoff.
Absolutely.
So
Here's
be
the
ready.
thing. On top of all the excitement we have planned, there is another exciting aspect of Fall Getaway. We are going to a place we've never been to before.
What?
So
Never been?
there's this camp run by my friend Tim. Tim he's just a great dude. I just love Tim. He's awesome.
Yeah.
The camp is called New Life, and it's in Rose City. Now you might be asking yourself, where's Rose City?
I have no idea.
It's nowhere. It's basically nowhere.
Correct answer? Nowhere.
It's smaller than Kalkaska.
Whoa.
So that already is different. And you basically drive an hour and a half south on 75, get off the road, drive through a one-stop light town, and then drive a little more, and you get to New Life Camp.
Wow.
New Life is so amazing. And it's just going to be a whole new experience for all of us.
It's going to be so great.
John and Whitney are going to come to do music.
I love John and Whitney.
Which, if you don't know John and Whitney, like, I'm sorry, you need to meet them. They're the greatest.
Yes.
Also,
and they're so talented.
Yes.
So talented.
So gifted, so talented. John sings like an angel, and so does Whitney. So it's going to be like an angelic choir singing with us at Fall Getaway. Yeah. Which, like, what do you want? You know what I mean?
We're going to have a coffee bar.
Oh,
and
man.
It's just going to be fall vibes, okay?
Yes. 1,000% fall. And it's going to be as hectic or as laid back as you want it to be.
Exactly.
It's going to be a little bit for everybody.
You know, I love this time of year because we're right in between seasons, right? I mean, it's about to be winter. School's getting busy. You're about to change from your fall sports to your winter sports. And it is the perfect time to get away. We didn't call it Fall Getaway for nothing.
It is
time where you can unplug a little bit and you can just rest and do what you need to do. And rest doesn't mean sleeping, but rest can mean playing paintball for some people.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Just do what you need. Have fun and make the most of your time. So that's why we have Fall Getaway. And we are so pumped for you to be a part of it.
Totally.
So
and also, it's about being a family. And another big part of being a family for us as a youth ministry for Wildfire and Radiate is core groups. So this year, core groups are going to look a little bit different. So Chloe, if you want to tell everybody, what are core groups going to look like for Wildfire this year?
Yeah. So Wildfire's core groups are going to be on Wednesday nights during youth group. So we're going to have a time carved out for you to meet with your groups. And I'm so passionate about core groups. One of the reasons is that it is so important to get to know a group of believers and to do life with them, right?
Absolutely.
Like, core groups doesn't necessarily mean sitting down and talking about your deepest, darkest secrets all the time. While we want to create a space where you feel comfortable to do that, when you feel comfortable to share the hard things going on in your life, we also want it to be a space where you can do life together.
Yeah.
Our goal for core groups is not that you can come and sit down and answer questions and then leave and never talk to each other. No, that's the opposite, right? In us wanting to create a family atmosphere for us, core groups leave the building, right? So we want you to create a space not only with the other students that are in your group, but also building trust with a leader who you're going to love. We have so many new leaders in Wildfire this year, and they're amazing. You're going to be so blessed by them. So be there for core groups on Wednesday night. So Richie, tell us about core groups for Radiate, because I know they look a little different.
They're going to look a little different. There's going to be time on Wednesday nights where Radiate is having core groups too, where we're spending time with our small groups to kind of talk and discuss what we're learning and what's going on in our lives and that kind of thing. But also, like, as a companion piece to that, we are offering core groups in people's houses this fall. And it's going to be like a semester, right? So it's going to be like 8 weeks, where every Sunday night for 8 weeks, you're going to show up at somebody's house and you're just going to spend about an hour together, maybe have a little something to eat, hang out, talk about your lives, and discuss a book that has been profoundly impactful to my life called Experiencing God, which is just about how do you know when God is interacting with you? What does that look like? What does that mean? And I think it's going to be a really cool time. So here's the deal with Sunday night core groups. If you want to participate, you do have to sign up. And you can sign up at the New Hope website, newhope.cc. And you can find Radiate core groups on there, and you can sign up. Cost is $5 just to cover the books and stuff. But look, it's going to be a real deal opportunity for you to not only grow in your community with a small group of people, but also for you to really grow in your faith intentionally and meaningfully, and in a way that maybe you haven't done it before, by reading a book together and discussing the stuff that's going on in that book. So core groups on Sunday night, going to be a huge deal for Radiate this year. I want you to be there. And I want you to participate because I know that core groups are what change your life forever. Core groups are what cause changes that God's doing in your heart to like keep going and to cause you to have the encouragement that you need to like do what God wants you to do in your life. So core groups, big deal.
Such a big deal. All right, guys. So now we are on to our final segment of our first episode of Howsit. And we are talking about that life is back to the grind, right?
It really is.
We are getting back to school, back to sports, back to all of our activities that we do.
Yep.
And that can be a little stressful. It can give people anxiety. It can just be a weight on you, you know?
Yeah. I don't know about you, but like I dreaded the first day of school. Like every year, my whole life, I was like, no, please, no, don't make me go back.
See, and I love the first day of school.
Okay.
Like I have my highlighters and my notebooks already. Like I was that girl.
Yeah.
So, but still, that doesn't change the fact that it's a whole new routine, a whole new schedule, and that can just be overwhelming sometimes.
New teachers, new classes.
Oh my word,
like,
yeah.
You got to figure out how long it takes you to get from one class to the other.
It's just a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Not to mention all the new things you're learning.
For sure.
Right? And it's like, basically right away, it's like I got homework again. I haven't had it all summer for most of you anyway. And I've got responsibilities again. And I've got tests to study for.
Yeah.
And it's just so much. And it can feel like, honestly, it can feel like there's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure to like succeed and to get stuff done and to be responsible. And so we just kind of want to take a minute to talk about kind of what the opposite of that is. The opposite of the stress and the pressure is peace. And that's honestly something that's a word that gets used a lot at church.
Yeah, like I feel like my grandma says that word.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure if I want to say it, you know?
Right. Like it feels like, what does it even mean?
Yeah.
It feels like people just say it because it's like, well.
And does it exist even?
Right.
Like in our chaotic world, can I even find peace? Is that even attainable for me?
True facts. So I think the starting place is this. Number one, we have to acknowledge, yes, peace is possible. Peace is 100% possible. The Bible calls Jesus the Prince of Peace. So if Jesus is our king and he's in charge of peace, then that means we can have peace. That means that he is offering that to us. And the book of Psalms especially is full of situations where everything looks messed up and bad and wrong, but the writer of this song is able to talk about having peace in God because God's the one who gives the peace. And the situation doesn't give the peace. The circumstances doesn't give the peace. God is giving the peace. So really, there's a couple things that we want to talk about really practically that are going to help you to have real peace or to find peace through your day, as opposed to just being like, well, just have it, right? Like just have peace and just be at peace and whatever.
That's not helpful at all.
Not
like,
helpful.
That's like negative helpful.
Not helpful.
So I think one way to find peace, and I think contentment, the idea of contentment goes along with peace. Contentment meaning I am satisfied with where I am right now. That's a hard thing to achieve, even now, right? I mean, that's something I think everyone struggles with, but I think that is the first step. Contentment is the first step in achieving peace. And I think that means being satisfied and content with where you are right now. Because I think a lot of times, I think especially in middle and high school, it's so easy to be like, oh, well, when I get to high school or when I get to college or when I get married or all these things, and then you miss stuff, right? You miss where you are. And I want to encourage you, friends, that God put you where you are for a reason. He put you at the school that you're at for a reason. And he put you on your sports team that you're on for a reason. So look for why he put you there, right? Like he meant to do all of these things. So search for his purpose in that. And once you do that, once you're following God's will, I believe that you'll find peace. And I believe that you'll find contentment in where you are.
Yeah, the New Testament talks about God preparing good works ahead of time for us to accomplish. And that's like one of the big things about living in the will of God is not that you know God's plan perfectly and you're going to take every single exact thing and like do all this stuff. Sometimes it's just being willing to see the good that God is asking you to do and participate in that, like showing the love of Jesus to people, being kind to people that maybe people don't like so much or who annoy you, like letting people go ahead of you in line, just like small, simple things that are clearly good works that God is like allowing you to do in the world. Those are things that are going to help you stay grounded and stay present.
Yeah. And let me tell you, people notice that
100%.
when you act counterculturally, when you serve others, when you could be using it as an opportunity to get ahead, but when you choose to serve, people notice and people wonder, right? What is different about him? What is different about her? And then what is your answer, right?
Yeah.
What is your answer to that question? Your answer is that Jesus is in my heart and he has made me different.
Yes.
He has made me set apart from everyone else because he lives in me.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. It's crazy because I think sometimes we talk about this idea of like servant leadership, especially, and that's not in the Bible anywhere. Like you could read the whole Bible. It never once says servant leadership.
No,
Instead, it says servant. Jesus talks about himself and demonstrates himself as a servant. And in his servitude, he leads people.
Yeah.
It's not like this thing where you're like trying to build this combo. You're trying to put these two pieces together of being a leader, which means I do what I want and I tell people what to do and I'm in charge. That's what we think of as leadership, I think in America especially. And this idea of serving people and like somehow you like fit them together. But instead, if you are willing to be a servant and you are willing to do the hard things of putting other people first, people will see that Jesus is Lord of your life. People will see that Jesus is your King. You'll have an opportunity to tell them about that. And it will just keep you in the moment because moments become important when you're a servant. Yeah. Moments become absolutely important when you're thinking about serving other people.
Yeah, these moments matter, right?
Yes.
Like if you think that I just go to Elk Rapids, I can't change my school, like I'm just one person. Like I get that. Like that's a real thought. But let me tell you that small things like that matter. And they, like I said before, people notice, and that little things, one after another, people will continue to notice and wonder what's different about you. And that's what changes people. That's what changes your school. One person at a time, really. And that's, I think that's amazing.
Absolutely. And two, kind of going along with that, of being where you're at and kind of like living in the moment and finding contentment in the moments of your life, is that we also should be in the presence of God. And I think that's another one that gets thrown around a lot at church.
That sounds really scary.
It's like, what does that mean? Right. Like it seems weird. Like at least
I thought God was around us all the time.
Exactly.
You know?
And so when I was a kid, I used to have this like, I used to imagine things as they were said in church. And when people would say presence of God in church, I would like imagine like being in heaven with the cloud, like with clouds and stuff. And like God is like on this big like throne way up there. And I'm kind of just down at the bottom. And I'm kind of like, oh, hey, like I probably shouldn't be here right now. I don't fit in here or whatever. Well, this past year, somebody kind of gave me a tool to use to think about the presence of God. And it kind of goes along with this idea of listening prayer, which we've done several times in the past year as a group, as a community. And so when I sit down to talk to God and when I am looking to interact with God and to be in God's presence, what I do is I try and just get somewhere quiet. And I close my eyes and I just imagine me and Jesus sitting on a park bench. And like, that might be kind of weird for you. It was definitely weird for me at first, but for whatever reason, we're in Central Park. I don't know why, because that's just like an iconic park. And we're just sitting on this bench together and we're just hanging out. Yeah. And like, I can just talk to him freely and openly and his presence is there. And so, you know, for me, I needed that because I thought of his presence as being this other thing, this out there thing that I couldn't like get to. But the reality of it is you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And that grants you access, as we've talked about in the book of Hebrews, that grants you access to God because Jesus is now your high priest. He has made a way for you to have direct access to God. And that access is not far away. The access is not in the future. That access is not dependent on whether or not you live a perfect life. That access is dependent on the blood of Jesus Christ, his resurrection. And because of that, you can just sit down on a park bench and talk to Jesus. And that's a real thing. Yeah. And that's what being in his presence is really about, is acknowledging that he's just there with you. Yeah.
So what do you think that looks like practically?
Honestly, for me, this is how it looks. And this is something I'm working on. Like this is becoming a practice in my life. I'll give you a for instance. Yesterday morning, I was feeling kind of like nervous about some stuff. Like Emmett started his first day of 5th grade. That was like all the feels. Like, dude, this guy's about to be a middle schooler. He's 10. Like, it's so weird. And so like just all these emotions going on and some anxiety and different things going on in my heart. And so as I'm like driving to work in the car, I don't close my eyes when I'm driving, but I just kind of like think of myself as sitting on our bench. Like me and Jesus are sitting on the bench. And I just say to Jesus, like, dude, I am so stressed today. Like, here's all the things that are stressing me out. I feel like I can't handle this. I feel like I'm going to fall to pieces.
Yeah.
Jesus, what do you think about that? And then I just wait. I just get quiet and I just listen. And can I tell you, like, you have the Holy Spirit indwelling inside of you when you've given your life to Jesus Christ and made him your Savior. And the Holy Spirit, one of his jobs is to teach you.
Mm-hmm.
And so in those moments of quiet, when you've been honest to God and you ask for him to be honest back with you, which he always will be, the Holy Spirit will teach you in those moments. He will bring to mind scriptures that you've memorized or that you've read. He'll bring to mind sermons that you've heard. He'll bring to mind stories from the Bible that you know. Yeah. He'll bring those things back to you to say, this is what I think about that. Yeah. And so yesterday morning, as I'm driving to work and I'm feeling stressed and I'm like, me and Jesus are on our park bench together and I'm just like telling him like, this is where I'm at. Mm-hmm. His response back to me is like, isn't it great that you don't have to be the one to fix all that?
Yeah, right.
Isn't it great that like I've gone before you and made a way? Mm-hmm. And I was just like, yeah, that is great. And he's like, I just get this sense from him like, God will make a way when there seems to be no way. Mm-hmm. And that is like something that is from my past that I don't think about often, but it was brought to mind yesterday just because I just took a moment to be like, Jesus, this is how I feel. Like, tell me something true back, and just waited.
Yeah. I think there's something so special about being honest with God. I think we need to hit on that. Like, I think, especially when I was young, I thought that I had to look a certain way in front of God, that I had to talk a certain way, act a certain way. But I think we forget that Jesus is not of this world. You don't have to perform like you do with other people. He knows you. And like, maybe you don't even know you, but Jesus knows you because he knit you together. And that is so amazing. So why not just be honest? Yeah. Because I think when we're honest with God, that's when that weight gets lifted, right? That's when the busyness stops being so overwhelming and starts taking over our mind. Mm-hmm. Being honest with God about where you're at and your struggles, even if it's not pretty, even if it sounds bad, and you would never say it out loud to anyone else, that's okay. Yeah. But God can take it and he wants to hear it. And so I just want to encourage you that talking with Jesus is the most safe place to talk about any of those things. And I think that's when you see transformation happen in your life, is when you are not only in his presence, but you're honest in his presence. You know what I mean?
That's huge. That's absolutely huge. And I think like those two things, being content where you're at and like knowing that there's a purpose for the moments that you're living, and spending time in the presence of God, that is to say like just being honest with God and asking him to like give you truth back. Those two things are great ways to find yourself in the will of God. Yeah. Right? Because you know that God wants you to be a servant and that moments are important to him. Mm-hmm. And so if you agree with that and you live in that, and then you also know that he wants you to spend time with him and you start doing that, then you can start to realize that like, oh, I'm living in God's will. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like God didn't like send you a special note that said, hey, in this class today, you're going to pick up a pencil somebody dropped. But you start recognizing opportunities like that and you start to realize like God's will is not that complicated. Yeah. He just wants me to live in the way he's asked me to live, which is to be like Jesus, right? Mm-hmm. And so the best way that you're going to find peace this year and that you're going to have peace in spite of your circumstances is that you're going to learn to follow God's will by being content where you're at and understanding moments are important in your life, being a servant and spending time in the presence of God.
Dang, that is so good. All right, guys, that is it for the first episode of Howsit.
We did
Tune in a couple weeks for our next episode. But until then, we will see you at kickoff, which is tomorrow, September 14th, 6:30 to 8. We can't wait to see you. We love you guys. See you next time.
Later.